committed. This is the CBC Evening News.
And a very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Lord with the CBC Evening News. In our top story, Prime Minister Frundell Stewart has sounded a warning to those levelling charges of corruption at ministers in his administration. He's telling them to take up the matter with the Director of Public Prosecutions. Prime Minister Stewart addressed the issue at the Democratic Labour Party St. Peter branch meeting over the weekend. He says every week he hears some dark hint about which minister of the Crown is corrupt, and he wants those accusing his ministers to come out and state their case to the DPP.
If anybody has any evidence against any minister of the Crown that that minister has been corrupt, and you want to be taken seriously, don't tell me. Go to the DPP, carry the information you have, and I want to make it public now. If corruption can be established, you will have my 100% support, because I didn't come into politics to be corrupt. And anybody who comes to sully the good name of the Democratic Labour Party can't count on my defense.
Opposition leader Mia Mottley has flayed the government for running deficits over the past 7 years on its current account year after year since 2008. She says this has become the norm for the ruling party, noting that when accompanied by high debt repayments, it has starved the economy and government of much-needed funds, causing the late return of income tax and VAT refunds. Ms. Mottley charged that in the last 52 years, governments in Barbados have only run deficits on the current account 5 out of 52 years. This as she led off parliamentary debate on the no-confidence motion in government. The opposition leader also chastised government for the way it lists its priorities, charging it's not in the best interest of Barbadians. Ms. Mottley pointed to government's decision to have Barbadians pay some of the cost of their education at the University of the West Indies Cayfield campus as an example of its mismanagement.
How do we therefore gut the very thing for $35 million out of a $4.3 billion budget for which we are most competitive? I'm not telling you that the government finds itself in an easy fiscal situation, but I do know that priorities matter. And I do know that rather than using an axe to arbitrarily cut expenditure, that what is needed is a scalpel to brilliantly and surgically protect that which must be protected.
The opposition leader also contends that the education sector in general is in a mess.
We find education today in a state, sir, of a combustion of confusion. A combustion of confusion. From the parents, to the teachers, to the unions, to the children, to the ministry. And it is almost incomprehensible to me that the state of education could exhibit such drift and decay in the Barbados of 2016.
And we do apologize for the poor quality of the audio in that extract. Well, the Barbados economy has grown by 1.7% during the first quarter of this year. That's according to Central Bank Governor Dr. Delal Worrell, who made the revelation in the bank's most recent review of the Barbados economy's performance. He says tourism was the main driver of the growth.
Long-stay arrivals were up by 7%, with continued improvement in the US and UK markets. Retail prices are estimated to have remained unchanged for the quarter, and unemployment for 2015 averaged 11.3%, down from the previous year's 12.3%. International reserves at April 30th stood at $938 million, equivalent to 14 weeks of import cover, an increase of $11 million during the winter tourist season.
Well, an oil tanker overturned at the Constant roundabout in St. George, blocking road access for hundreds of motorists in the area for several hours today. The incident occurred just after 7 this morning, and Lisa Broom tells us more.
It was a very close call this morning here at the Constant roundabout in St. George. The driver of this 14-wheeler behind me, a diesel and gasoline truck from Saul, it overturned. The driver, however, is literally counting his lucky stars that this did not turn out to be a major catastrophe. By the time we arrived on the scene, the driver had already left, being taken for medical attention, even though one police officer said he had not complained of any injuries. The main focus by that time was the vehicle owned by Saul, which had an estimated 40,000 gallons of diesel and gasoline in its tanks. CBC understands it was the driver's first trip of the day, and he was traveling from Dash Valley toward the Constant roundabout when the accident occurred. Now, much of the morning's effort was spent preparing the truck, which lay on its left side, just off the side of the road, to be put back on its wheels to be towed away. But before that could be done, the fuel on board had to be siphoned off, and to do that, another tanker of similar size was called in. The area was prepared with foam from one of the Barbados Fire Services trucks, as well as sand and other materials from the emergency teams on hand, which also included the Ministry of Transport and Works, Roving Response, Saul engineers, and several of its safety officers. The Barbados Light and Power also had to be called in to shut down the electricity running to the poles in the immediate area. CBC understands the infrastructure was not damaged, and the shutdown was done out of an abundance of caution. At one stage, some of the fuel could be seen leaking from the damaged sections of the tanker, but it was quickly covered with foam. Traffic, of course, was diverted from the area by police, who had all of the entrances to the roundabout blocked off. CBC understands it was not until late afternoon that the entire scenario was over and the tanker was towed away. Lisa Broom, CBC News.
Stay with us. We'll have more news in just a moment.
Don't let your data experience slow you down. Step up to Digicel, Barbados' fastest 4G network, more than twice as fast as the slow network. Get more with Digicel. Digicel, the fastest 4G network in Barbados. Dial *153 to sign up to Digicel today.
More great cities just got closer. The Scotiabank Aero Platinum MasterCard is now even better. Fly to New York, Miami, Orlando, and Fort Lauderdale with just 20,000 Scotia points. With your new Scotiabank Aero Platinum MasterCard, you'll receive a welcome bonus of 10,000 Scotia points, so you can enjoy the cities you love most sooner than ever. Apply today. Call 426-7000 or visit your nearest branch. Scotiabank. Discover what's possible.
Presidia, the personal accident coverage from Guardian Life. Live secure. Live easy.
It's not about exercising. It's having the strength to do what you're passionate about. It's not about the road traveled. It's about the one to be traveled. An important thing in life is finding the perfect balance between body and soul. With a bottle of Ensure, you get the proteins, calcium, and 26 vitamins and minerals your body needs to live the best moments of your life with strength and energy. Your life, your health, your Ensure.
Well, Barbadians can now look forward to improved response times and availability of emergency ambulances. Lisa Broom has that story.
Relief is expected to come thanks to the purchase of 2 new emergency ambulances by the Health Ministry. Speaking at the official handing over ceremony, Chief Executive Officer of the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, Dr. Dexter James, says the department will now look at its data to see how best it can deploy its services.
There are various approaches. One is roving, the other one is decentralization. With the recently opened David Thompson Health and Social Services Complex, it is not far-fetched to consider on a pilot basis that we now have the numbers of ambulances to at least deploy one across there to service certainly the north, the east, and some parts of the west, with a view towards improving response times.
Dr. James added that the additional ambulances will allow the department to better use its human resources.
Currently, we run shifts that run for 8 hours. The opportunity present for us now to clearly look at the numbers of EMTs and paramedics with a view towards looking at a 12-hour shift system, thereby improving the capacity of the emergency ambulance services.
Head of the Emergency Ambulance Services, Dr. David Byer, says the vehicles have come at a very good time.
This is a shot in the arm as we approach what is expected to be a busy summer and crop over season, where we'll be all hands on deck as far as the numerous crop over, whether they're NCF or other activities abound.
Minister of Health John Boyce says while increasing the number of new ambulances is important, maintenance of the older vehicles is also vital.
The CEO has alluded to the fact that 7 is plenty, but more is even more acceptable. Certainly, if there is room in our budget for the purchase of another ambulance, I think we need to go full speed ahead and make sure that ambulance is made available. But I also want to make a plea for us to really apply the technology which I know is available in Barbados to bring our ambulances, the ones that are not so old, back up to full repair.
The Emergency Ambulance Service has now received 6 new ambulances in the last 3 years. Lisa Broom, CBC News.
And still to come, a look at some of the stories making headlines across our region.
This is where I learn. Courage is what I got from experience. With hard work, there are no walls between me and my dreams.
Only Milo contains ActiveGo, which is a blend of Protomalt, a unique malt extract, and micronutrients to help prepare your child to get the best out of their day.
Thanks, Mom. Now I am ready.
Milo, energy food drink of champions.
Distributed by Massey Distribution.
Community Files.
Government day nurseries across the island will host open days throughout the month. From May 10th to 13th, there will be open days at the Farm, Grisette's, Nightingale, and Madam Eiffel Day Nurseries. Visiting hours are 10 a.m. to 12 noon and 3 to 5 p.m.
Barbados Gospel Fest, Sports Ultimate Gospel in association with Light 97.5 FM and Soul for the first time out of Nigeria. Sina. I know who God says I am.